Mr. President, thank you very much for talking with us. I wanted to start off first with the Henry boys and how those investigations are going. I know this morning you attended the funeral service.
Well, first of all, thank you, Neil, for having me again on this program. As I said, the murder of those three young men is indeed a sad reflection for all of us as Guyanese, for our country, and it is of critical importance that we solve these gruesome murders and bring those barbaric individuals to justice. The investigations, as you know, is ongoing. They, I know the police are following many angles of information, but to support the work of the police, we have already activated a mechanism to have regional help from the RSS and also help from the British government. We are hopeful that by in another 8 to 9 days, that help can be here to support and complement what the police is doing. But what I can say is that the crime chief and the police are working aggressively. They're following every single area that needs to be followed. And I'm very confident that they, along with the support, would get that justice that we all so badly want. Today I said that, as today is a funeral of the Henry boys, that as a people we should reflect and pray and hope. Let this occasion be one that strengthens us as a people, strengthen our resolve for unity, for peace. And as Guyanese, we should keep the families in our thoughts and prayers, because they're the ones who have to continuously live with the moment. And as president, I call on the big Guyanese family to provide that support through prayers.
Mr. President, you may agree that the past week has been one of the most difficult periods in race relations in recent memory. You spoke about setting up a commission of inquiry. Can you talk to me more about that?
Well, I wouldn't say was the most difficult period. Indeed, it was a period of challenge. I'm very happy, though, in a sense, that good sense prevailed and the situation was brought under control, and this is the way it should be. However, I'm deeply troubled about the various incidents we had over the week, all of which must be and will be investigated. The COI is important because, it was not only the murders but what took place after. So our immediate task is to get the investigation concluded, and then, of course, as I said, we're exploring as international COI. We have already started work on looking at the UN conventions, especially dealing with hate speech, and speech that spark division and divisive speeches. And Neil, all of us have a role to play, especially on social media. Social media has been totally abused and misused, especially during this period. And as a government, as President of Guyana, I am acutely aware that we need to do something about this. We need to cyberbullying. Every day we get reports about it now. The level of conversation and the damage the conversation would have had on social media need to be addressed. And we'll be addressing it very actively, because as a country, we need to do this.
What more can be done for race relations in your mind?
Well, Neil, race relations has various components. A lot of people would talk about race relations, but important for race relations is opportunities, is ensuring that people building a sense of trust among communities, building strong cultural links, and having a Guyanese identity. For years, we have struggled to emerge with a singular identity. We hear about Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, we hear about Portuguese Guyanese, Chinese Guyanese, Muslim Guyanese, Hindu Guyanese, Christian Guyanese. But what is the Guyanese identity? What is this singular identity that binds us as a people? That we must portray, that cuts across all the cultures, that cuts across all the religious belief, that cuts across the political landscape. So we have to build this Guyanese identity. We have to strengthen this Guyanese identity. And you will see a lot of this through the policies and programs of the government. Policies and programs aimed at involving everyone, at touching the lives of every family, at improving the conditions of every community. And personally, I am committing to a program of outreach that will go to every community, that would sit with every community, that would build a national conversation. I saw the First Lady started this very good program, One Guyana, and I'm going to build on that program from the government level. And I'm already exploring, not only over the last week, but since I assumed office, how is it we can create a One Guyana Commission that looks at all these issues, that is more nationalistic in its outlook, that tries to create that singular Guyanese identity and promote that identity. If I asked you what is the Guyanese identity, you would have a different answer from everybody else in your newsroom, because we have never had the conversation. So all of us have a different view as to what that identity is or should be. And most times, when we discuss this issue, we go back to the narrow enclave of culture. But culture is not the only aspect of the identity. Culture is a main plank of the identity, but it's not the only aspect of the identity. And that is what this commission, that is what this national work should be. And I have had a few conversations with Mr. Gladstone, one of the Henry boys' father. And even his public comments is really commendable. You know, a man going through so much pain at this time, still understanding the responsibility to call for national action to promote peace, unity. It is that sense of character and strength of character, if all of us develop it, that can really turn tides and change the perspective out there.
So now I want to ask you about the visit this week of the U.S. Secretary of State. How important is that for you?
Well, I will say it's extremely important, because we are working towards strengthening our relations with our partners. And of course, the U.S. is a very important and key partner of Guyana. Secretary Pompeo himself has been very vocal on our democracy issues. So I think it's very timely, his visit. There are many issues globally, regionally, that occupy our individual and collective attention. So I think his visit, it is a key time, especially when as a country we are exploring various initiatives in accessing capital, in ensuring that we can have capital that is not only accessible, but that is, for the want of a better word, cheap capital or low interest capital. We also have a transformative agenda that we want all to be involved with. So the U.S. also plays a strong role in the region. So I think it's very important and timely that we have a conversation surrounding all these issues.
What in particular for Guyana you'd be reaching out for?
Well, there are many issues in relation to Guyana that we want to discuss. As I said, more collaboration with the private sector is important, especially when we'll have major investors coming in, and we're talking about local content and all these things. To have agreement on how we can access capital and to fund the various projects that we have. Issues of security is important for us. Internal and external security that we must discuss, and we have that I would like to discuss. The support in tackling the drug trade and getting on top of that, not only internally but regionally. Those are some of the important issues. Climate change is another important issue for us. Issues of biodiversity, support for democracy and freedom of people all over the world. Those are things that we are very much interested in.
Great. Let's talk about the budget that was presented last week. You're moving into the debate on Monday. If you could you explain the goals of this budget?
Well, the goals of this budget is really very simple. If I may start from the overarching goal, it is definitely to restore hope, to rejuvenate the economy, to put more money back into people's pockets, to support the families, to support the private sector, enhance agricultural prospect by supporting the farmers, and also moving aggressively on a number of our manifesto promises, our commitment for the want of a better term. So the budget, although it's an emergency budget, reflects in a very effective and direct manner standard of living, cost of living, issues that the common man, the challenges that the common man faces. Those are issues that are directly addressed in the budget. We have put back money in the budget for children, for the Amerindians, for farmers. We have reduced the cost of doing business. We're going to put back more mining operation back to work. We're going to put back more of the livestock industry, small farmers, back into business. In some instances, in lease fees alone for farmers, that will be reduced by hundreds of thousands of dollars. For most of the industry, the lease fees would have increased by 1,370%. All of that has been taken back. That is money that is going to go directly back into production, increasing profitability, increasing competitiveness, reducing costs, resulting to the ultimate benefit of the consumer.
You have been accused by the former finance minister of feeding the private sector, putting more money into their pockets instead of to the ordinary man. How do you respond to that?
I think it's a very easy response. Mr. Jordan is only concerned about numbers. He don't understand how the economy works. He don't understand about growth and development, and he don't understand the role of the private sector in the economy. I have great respect for Mr. Jordan, but he's quite off the ball. And he has been off the ball for the last 6 years. His model has taken away from people, ordinary people. It has taken away from businesses. It has taken away from industries. It has taken away from the pensioners. It has taken away from the school children. Our model is giving back. So what is it that he's talking about? If you support the livestock industry, you're supporting small farmers. If you support the mining industry, you're supporting 65% of the operations that were out of commission in the last 5 years, going back into operation, creating hundreds of jobs, in some cases thousands of jobs. For who? Ordinary people. You support the building and construction sector. Who are you supporting? You're supporting people, greater home ownership. You're reducing the cost of home ownership. You're expanding the housing program. Who benefits? The people benefit at the end of the day. So you have to be able to support the system of the economy. If you can't support the productive sector, how would jobs be generated? How would wealth be generated? How would income be generated? You see, there's an easy way of doing things, and there is the complex but efficient way of doing things. Mr. Jordan, rather sit back, relax, don't worry about thinking about policies that enhances the economy, and just come up with new tax measures to tax the people more and earn revenue. His plan does not cater for the growth of industry, for the expansion of industry, and that is the difference. It's a difference in philosophy. And I'm sure that in the debate presentation, you would see, I saw Minister Indar did an excellent piece today, but he just brushed lightly at some of the interventions that would directly benefit people. But I can talk to you at length. When you give the school children $15,000 cash allowance, who benefits? When you give the pensioners an increase of pension to $25,000, when you give the pensioners free water, it's more money back in their pockets, more money back in the economy. When you take off VAT on electricity and water, it is not only the businesses that are benefiting, every single household in Guyana would benefit. When we give the $25,000 COVID relief to every household, who would benefit? Not businesses alone, every single household would benefit. When we give the $4,000 uniform allowance back to the children, who would benefit? Everyone would benefit. When the joint services get 2 weeks bonus, who benefits? It's the people who benefit. So these are just some of the initiatives. The $150 million that is set aside for frontline workers. These are people who are out there fighting every day to keep us safe. So I think in the greatest of respect, I don't think Mr. Jordan read the budget. I just think that he needed to say something, and he said what he said. But if you look at all the comments on the budget from all the major stakeholders, the private sector, the manufacturing sector, the livestock industry, the poultry industry, the farmers, it is tremendous. And we are doing this whilst we have a liability of close to $30 billion that they left us with. Unpaid bills of close to $30 billion. And you will see also, Neil, a very aggressive approach. We are not going to wait. I've already asked the Minister of Business to publish an expression of interest for new hotels. I've asked the Ministry of Public Works to publish an expression of interest for the new Demerara Harbor Bridge. I've asked for the publication of interest for water parks, theme parks, investment in the tourism sector, in resorts and lodges. So you will see a series of advertisements. We have the Minister of Foreign Affairs this week will be discussing with his counterpart in Suriname the Quarantine River Bridge. We are moving ahead on all the transformational projects from now. So we have to get those projects going. All will be there publicly, but I want to see the local private sector, the local business community get involved, because part of local content does not only have to do with oil and gas, but has a lot to do with involvement in these transformative projects, right? The intention also is to have natural gas. It's not whether we will get it. We have to get it. We have to get the natural gas to shore, and we have to get the cost of electricity to come down substantially. And I've said that by year 4, that this electricity cost has to come down by more than 50%, right? More than 50%. Bringing down the electricity costs will stimulate the manufacturing sector, will create an industrial sector. I want us to start thinking about the development of the highway, the Linden-Soestdijk Highway, because we are going to get the 4-lane road done all the way to Tumeri. We are going to start in this 5 years very soon with the Ogle to Eccles Phase 1, 4 lanes. And then we are also going to start, we're going to continue that as we negotiate more financing. We also have to think about the future. That is why we're going to commission a study very shortly on an additional 4-lane highway on the west coast, from the bridge all the way going past Tushan. Because that is, we have to plan for the growth and development. We are also in this budget going to start studies and design on a new farm to market access road in number 52 that will create thousands of new, open up thousands of acres of land for agriculture. We're thinking in Wales about a Wales Development Authority, where we'll have a business incubation center that will involve the workers who are laid off. That will create thousands of jobs. I've also asked Cabinet, and we are discussing now the putting together of a A-class urban planning team to look at waterfront development, to look at rezoning, and of course, we have to look at the complications and costs of doing business, reducing time it takes to get things done. And so we are working right now on a single window application process for construction permit. So when you have to build a building, you don't have to go to CHPA, you don't have to go to health, fire, environment, city council. That sometimes takes 4 years. There must be a single window approach in which you take your application in. Your application is in one location, is disseminated, and timelines are put so that we can reduce the time of approval to about 3 months. So these are some of the things that we are working on that the emergency budget would point to. But I'm sure that the ministers would not only outline the measures in the budget, but they would outline our strategy for the various sectors in expanding growth, creating opportunities. And let me say this, Neil, all the commitment in our manifesto, we are and we must be able to achieve. Those are commitments that we are standing by, and the people elected us based on those commitments, and we are going to deliver.
So what comments are you looking for from the opposition that you will really take seriously, and that you're just not going to brush aside whatever they say?
I'm not brushing aside anything that any Guyanese have to say. The opposition are a critical part of the parliamentary democracy. They are one arm, part of one arm of government. And what they say is very important for me too. So I'm expecting some constructive suggestions. I'm expecting, once they have constructive suggestions, I'm all for listening. And that is the approach. We're not shutting out any idea. We're open to ideas. That is the only way we can build a national approach to development. We have to be open to ideas. I've spoken to the AG, for example. I have asked him that I think it's time for us to have, a conversation with the executive and the judiciary to see how we can support the further modernization, how we can support the further enhancement of efficiency and so on of the judiciary system, and have a discussion on the challenges there and how we can work to improving on the challenges there, so that our people benefit from better systems at every level of government.
Mr. President, it has been clear that you've been trying to involve the newer parties in some aspects of governance, putting them on boards and so on. Do you intend to take that a little bit further?
I intend to involve all of Guyana. But Neil, I didn't want to address this issue now, but you have raised it. We have one government. We have one president. I saw Mr. Harman introducing former President Granger as president and talking about his administration as if there is two presidents. There is one president. There is one president. This government was democratically elected. This government had to fight to ensure that democracy and the will of the people was restored. with the support of the smaller parties, with the support of civil society. And I think that whilst you pose the question to me, yes, we are ready to involve everyone, and everyone will be involved. But the question should be also posed that you can't ask me to play on my team, and then you're telling me you don't recognize my team. Or you're disregarding my team. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. So yes, as president, my government is ready to involve everyone. But everyone has a responsibility to act maturely. Everyone has a responsibility. What the current opposition put us through in those 5 months as a country and as a people was not an easy journey. It was not an easy journey. But we have gone beyond that because we have to take the country forward. But we have to do so, and they have to do it in a respectful manner. You don't see the president disrespecting anyone. With all that took place, I want to say I'm ready. I've made it clear. I'm a president for all. This is a government for all. We will work with everyone. And what we will not do is allow persons to derail the development agenda.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Neil.